And in this video, we're going to be talking about the very first step of the R2Gate program. Currently, we have an example pulled up for you guys. Nice and very simple case. No scatter or radiation, working on the lower, single implant. And Mike here is going to be guiding us through. But for me, I have no idea how to use the R2Gate program, but I want to learn.
Great. So before we even start, we have this CT scan. It's only a quadrant, but ideally we want it to be a full arch of the lower and the upper. But for the example purposes, this will do. And the CT is not that clean, so let's go to this windowing function here on the top. And this is where we need to locate the most dense part of the CT, which is the lower jaw. So we're going to bring this down the STL area to the lower jaw. And in the color range, it goes from green to black, green being the hardest bone, and red being the softest bone. So we're going to play around with this so that we can get the correct density.
And Mike, I believe that for this section, this is basically putting a benchmark for the program to know where's the hardest compared to the softest. So there will be more of a successful implant surgery, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that is correct. So once we have that, we're going to press apply. So now we definitely have a better image of the CT scan as well as the slice. So now we're going to go to the next step, which is the STLization. And we're trying to convert the DICOM CT scan into an STL. So we're going to bring back this STL area up so we could get around the teeth area. And then go on to the next step.
And you want some of the teeth area, so you'll be using that for easy alignment of 3-point alignment rather than just using just bone and tissue, which has no shape or form.
Right. So now here on the color range, as I mentioned before, green to black, green being the hardest, which it only locates the hardest part of the CT, and red being only the tissue. So since we just need a lower teeth, as you mentioned before, we're gonna press around the orange and the yellow area. And it looks pretty good to me. So now we're gonna press apply. So now we have successfully changed the DICOM to an STL. So now I'm going to bring up the lower jaw that we micro CT scanned. And now we're going to do our 3-point alignments. And this is what you mentioned where we need all these information. So I'm going to do a right click on the two STLs and try to find the most identical part so it can superimpose it more accurately.
Now, Mike, I realized you put a point on where it looks like it's the bone. But from the micro CT, that's actually tissue.
Right.
So would that really matter when it's superimposing together?
So as of right now, since this is only the first step, it's not that important. It's funny you say that because the next step is where we can manually align these two STLs more accurately. So you don't need to worry about that in this step.
I see.
And on the lower bottom, it's just a facial scan, and which we'll talk about that in the future cases. But as of right now, we are done with the first step, and we're on to the next one.
Okay. So that's about it. So we'll see you on the next video.